So Jose and I had the orientation for our boys to attend. All right. So day one, I went by myself as he had orientation at work, so he could not come on that day. But day two, here we are, taking our son to his orientation. And all CCites, from you see that earlier, you're supposed to remember it, not true? Because this is where we had to walk every single morning right up to Stuart Hall for devotion. And at the end of it, we all had to take a long breath because we were so tired, you know? But it helps when you're walking with your friends or with um schoolmates. You get to chit chat while you're walking, so most of the time you don't even remember how tired you are. All right. So this is actually the play field, the football field. All right. This is where all the football matches take place, and where when it's PE time,
Sticks.
the boys
Put
had
bean back and bean on it. No, in my time, this was actually the fifth form block. No, this is the fourth form block. Can you imagine? Look who used to come at CC to CC man this too, you know? Alright, so you're supposed to know him too, right? Yes.
so we had to take a few pics.
Much later.
Boy, after that run at CC, I was feeling really hungry. And initially, I wanted soup, so I got the soup. But then I said, when I saw the menu items, and I've been observing it for a while at Juicy Patties, there's a patty that says plant based. And I thought it was a new patty, only to find out it is the same soy patty. But because I never had that soy patty before, I decided, okay, I'm going to purchase one for the first time, and it actually tasted good. So I know I am definitely going to try it again. And if there's anyone out there who has not tried the soy patty at Juicy Patties, go right ahead and purchase one. Just purchase one. Because you don't want to purchase too many, either you don't like it. But I'm sure you're gonna like it. Just purchase one and see how it feels. Alright? I enjoyed it. It was delicious. Very delicious.
Much later.
Yes, the
Let the trouble
talking, but you can
ish.
bypass the talking.
Yes, she can bypass the car.
Let the trouble ish. You give her let the
So good customer service at Bash Pub. And as you can
No
see,
man, just looking at the prices of the scale. I want somebody to buy it for me.
I don't want the manual.
I'm looking at the digital ones. I'm trying to move away from manual to digital. Yeah, that's why I'm even graphic these. So that's they can tell me which one they're gonna get me. It doesn't matter.
So we had to pick up our daughter from Yui, and so we didn't get to go there in the daytime. We went there in the night. All right. And even though we would have preferred to go in the day, that's how it is sometimes. Sometimes your plan changes. But we reached in time and we thank God, and we came back home on time and we thank God. I am definitely working on me. And I'm working on me because of me, not because of what I might hear somebody else say. It's me. All right. I am currently 175 pounds, and for my age and my height, I am overweight. All right. There are times when I'm comfortable with the extra weight, and there are other times when I'm definitely not comfortable. All right. And the fact that sometimes I can hardly fit into some of my blouses or jackets, it annoys me. I can actually remember one time, or maybe more than once, there's a particular blouse that I have to call my daughter to assist me to put on. And I hate that because it just reminds me of the fact that my arm is actually getting big. And so it also tells me that I am putting on weight. My body type or size is not what it was. All right. And for me, there's one thing I hate about extra weight, and that's putting on clothing and all that fatness is just bulging out like that. No offense to persons out there whose body type is like that and you cannot do anything about it. But for me, I am trying to do something about it because I don't like it. All right. It's not that I don't have self-confidence either. I am full of self-confidence. But for me, just like my spiritual life is important, my natural life is important as well. And so I need to take care of self. And this is just one way that I see fit to do so. All right. And now that I have some more time on my hands, I am definitely going to work on me because I believe in me and I believe that I can and I know I will. And that is because This is not the first time I have been exercising. I have done it several times before. And with these home exercises, there were points where I have lost 10 pounds in 6 weeks. So I know for a fact that it's possible. All right. But this is possible by changing your diet. So if your diet isn't good, or if you have been eating things that will cause you to put on the pounds, then you have to reassess your diet and add the things that will assist with the exercise in taking off those pounds. Trust me, it works. All right. And the next thing too is dedication and discipline is very important. For me, in prior exercise workouts, there were days when I felt like, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. But then again, because you have a particular goal to accomplish, that negativity is pushed aside, and here I go again. I'm up and running. All right. But apart from days when I am just ill or you can become ill, there's no need for you to push yourself to exercise. You'll put your body under more stress. And so once you're watching this video on this channel, now is the right time. And if it's still a challenge for you to start, put things into place to get started. All right? They always say better late than never. I believe that too. All right? So get yourself ready and let's go. Let's do this together. So I can be at my home, you can be at your home, and we're still a team. Why? Because we have one familiar goal. All right? Weight loss, better health. And so don't let the year 2023 ends and you don't start working on this goal.
So I have this beautiful young lady with me, and I let her introduce herself to you. Take it away.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Dana Graham Jr. and I am a student at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. I am in the Faculty of Science and Technology, and today we'll be discussing what my first 2.5 weeks at the UWI Mona was like.
All right. So, Miss Dana or Miss Graham, what was it like for you during the first week, which is the orientation week at the UWI Mona campus?
Okay, so the first week and a half was orientation. The orientation consisted of both hall and general orientation. So on the 24th and 25th, we had general orientation, and throughout the week and a half period, within the evenings or throughout the day, we had orientation. So orientation was start of a difficult period for me. Initially, I was the first 2 days were hard because when everyone went home, I had just came to the realization that I was sort of on my own, and it was rough.
Just a minute. When you said everyone went home, which day did you go in, and are you talking about the weekend?
So the moving period for my hall, which is the El Salirani, also known as Torres Hall, was on the 23rd of August. So the evening of the 23rd, my parents came with me to, move in. And when they went home, I was feeling a bit down. I had never been on my own before. And so I felt sort of, I just had the realization that I don't have my parents here with me. Yes, I will always have them a phone call away to guide me, but I just didn't realize before that I was going to have to be my own person. I was going to have to start to adult. I was going to, you know, be responsible for myself. And
Definitely.
that for me was sort of a difficult thing in the initial stages. And so I did cry. I cried. I think the first night there, I cried while everybody was socially interacting. I was just in my room, laying in the bed crying, and I was like, I want to go home. I was like, I want to go home. I was so uncomfortable, but I was like, okay, I've moved in. I'm ready to go back home now. But the orientation period in general was difficult. It was a lot of early mornings, late nights, because the orientation committee and the hall committee of El Salirani Hall, in their heads, they were saying, okay, we're going to train you guys to, prepare for the late nights and the early mornings and the difficult parts of the University of the West Indies. And I was just like, you guys are tiring us out before university starts. We're not getting a break. And so during the orientation period, they had different halls of residence competing with each other for the Hall of Halls title. And so, along with the early mornings and the late nights, they had sporting activities that we had to go out and support. And you had no excuse. They were not giving you any excuses. So unless you were on the verge of fainting, you had to go. You literally had to go, and you had to like, if you have a medical condition, which you during the sign up process you would have had to like let them know that, hey, I have a medical condition. Then if you didn't have any of that would bar you from certain activities, you had to go. So
But Dana, as far as I know, once you're a fresher, you just have to go through the necessary the necessary things. And not only just a fresher, but once you are on dorm, all right, you have to go through um the routine of being a newbie.
yes, that is true. In order to live on hall and to be considered as, you know an inducted person on hall, or like a person that would have the possibility of coming back next year, you had to go through the orientation process. You had to be there from early. Some people came in late and still were given the privilege of being inducted to say, okay, my name is going to go down into El Salirani's hall in the history. But if you're there from the 23rd, you have to learn the hall's history. You do a test. You do all, they had you doing all sorts of things that it wasn't against my belief or anything. So I just want to make that clear that none of it was against my belief. I ensured that before I was participating in anything, that it was something that I could participate in. But it was very exhausting. I remember one night they had us go to bed at 2 a.m. And then 4 a.m. in the morning, they were knocking on our doors and be like, get up. We have to go watch this volleyball match. And I was just like,
Most definitely.
tired. I am tired.
Welcome to the real world. No
So,
more sheltering by your parents. Go
honestly,
there and be your own adult under the supervision and the guidance of your parents and others. Yeah.
well, for me at the time, I was just in my mind, I was just like, this is not helping me. This is just making me feel tired. But then they would in the nights they would have like discussions about what university life would be like and giving us tips on studying and stuff. And I felt like those things were kind of helpful. And then they were discussing how in times like they were putting us through this physical toll and the mental toll because they're saying if you can do this then you can manage university.
And I agree 100 and 300 and 400 and 500%. I agree wholeheartedly.
Because one thing they were saying is that the Mona campus is a big campus. You're going to be walking all the time. You might be lost and you might need to interact with people that you probably on your own self and your own intuition you wouldn't have even done it. And that university is a large space. So if you don't integrate yourself into it, then you will get a bit lost.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I felt like it was a good experience. Wouldn't go through it again, but it was a good experience, definitely.
All right. So after you have transitioned from the orientation process, it's now time for your regular classes. What was that transition like?
Okay, so the first class I had was 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, and the night before, they didn't send us to bed until like 11, 12 o'clock. So I already went in tired, but then I also had to figure out where my class was. So I was just like, what? Firstly, I am tired. I know I'm going to have to learn. And when I went into the class, the AC was cold. It was so cold. I was in there absolutely freezing. And then the lecturer came and she introduced herself and she was nice, but then she was going through what the course would entail. And at some point I was feeling like I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, I have time to go home. I can go home. I
Which one of
can
the home you come home to? Not mine.
I was like,
not
I
me and
still
my
have
husband,
time to
yeah.
defer.
No, sir.
I was like, I still have time to defer. And the heart. I think the thing that just was so unimaginable for me was that within the 1 hour period that I had, she finished introducing herself and talking about the course in 30 minutes, and then the next 30 minutes, instead of giving us the time out, she started teaching. And I was not used to that. I was not used to that. Usually back in high school, the first day was easy. I don't really learn much. But she did teach and she did give us homework. And then I moved on to my next class, which was a lab class. And on Mondays, my days are so long. And I had to actually go and do lab. And the lab was long. It was long. It was long. And throughout the week, it, it was a continued cycle of teachers introducing themselves. And then just they started teaching and they just teaching. And I was like, so we really not get no break. We have to jump into this. I was like, why are we not getting any sympathy, no pity, nothing. I was like, um,
That's because the baby phase and the pampering phase of your education ended the moment you graduated high school.
that is true. That's
So
what.
now that you have entered the gates, through the gates of university, you gotta look forward to tough times, rough times, hard times, amongst the fun and interesting times.
And when I think about my first week of classes, I I don't think I can ever forget the experience. I I just feel so. I'm just like, I don't even have an idea. Like, I understand what is happening, but at the same time, I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. And then I actually realized that, hey, there is this big gap between university and high school.
What has been the most, no, what was easiest for you to adjust to and what was most difficult?
Okay, let me start with what was most difficult. For me, I think adapting to how fast the lectures go by, because my lecturers, they're like, read before, read after, and read while you are in the lecture, and you will be fine. Figure out your study schedule and you will be fine. And I'm just like, so no little explanation. Because sometimes there'll be like a PowerPoint with 100 slides, and then it finishes in 1 hour or less than an hour, and I'm like, um, am I supposed to do all of this by next class? I think that was the most difficult thing for me, adapting to the speed and of how fast the lectures go by. And I think what was easiest for me is actually getting up in the morning and preparing myself to go to class, because I consider myself a morning person. I think I do well with waking up early. So that wasn't an issue for me. I was always on time. I was always there way earlier than it needed to be. So I think that was what was difficult and easiest. I think the difference is that I'm just at home. I think you have more people in your environment than you do when you're alone in your dorm room. So I'm usually I'm just able to get up in the morning, bathe, and just, focus on what I have to do. But at home, you have to, follow around and, adapt to other person's schedule as well. So I think that's the difference.
All right, awesome. Well, take care of yourself, Lexi, and see you in a few weeks' time. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.